Hi guys and welcome back. For today's video we head up from Dunkeld, the Hermitage, over to the Packhorse Bridge at Carrbridge. It's a great spot for a photograph, which I'll show you on screen next. So the journey up from Dunkeld to Carrbridge takes about an hour and a half. And you ride through some lovely parts of Scotland on the way up there. I do really enjoy driving around Pitlochry, Blair, Dunkeld. All these parts are really nice. We got married at Old Blair, and it's a great part of the country. It really is. So if you are up in Scotland, I would recommend it, and pop into the Blair Athol distillery and have a whiskey while you're there. So just opposite the spa, there's an unassuming little entrance, and you pop down these steps and double back on yourself, and then you see the old Packhorse Bridge, which is a wonderful spot. And there it is. It takes a great photo, good for long exposure, and another all year round site. So we'll set up and grab a quick shot now. So for our Packhorse Bridge shot, we had an aperture right up at f/22. It was that high because our shutter speed was right down at 1/10 of a second. And the reason for that was to get a little bit of blur on the water. The ISO had to drop down to its lowest, L or 50, to accommodate this. And we were using the 15-35 right up at its widest angle of 15mm. Subject to detect was set to none, and electronic shutter was used. And we were doing single shot shooting for this one. Whilst this is a great spot, and I do recommend you go, this is the only thing that's at Carrbridge. There's plenty of stuff in the surrounding areas, but go for the shot. Okay, so this here is the Packhorse Bridge, which is a very pretty looking bridge, and it was particularly nice because there was a load of these purple flowers on it, which was good to see. The shot here was taken from up on the adjacent bridge. There's another bridge next to it, and I was using that to get a nice field of view there. Problems with the picture are we have a few defects. There's some dust obviously in the optical chain somewhere, either on the sensor or the lens. So we could just clone and stamp those out and keep them, but I don't think we want that part of the image anyway. We have some houses on both sides. One might be a shop actually. Not sure what that is. So cropping this in is important. So I'm going to ignore all the bad bits for a second and just look where I'd like a crop to sit. And it probably will be a dead central bridge. So let's start there and see how that looks. Still feel like I'm a bit far out. Might come in a little closer than that. That's that. I think that will do. Okay, so let's deal with the artifacts. We'll create a new layer. And we'll use the clone stamp tool with a big brush. So 700 pixels, and let's just get rid of these splodges. And I'll go and have a look at that and figure out whether or not it was just something on the lens that I've cleaned since or something more sinister. Oh, I've introduced an artifact there with my clone stamping. Problem with using big brushes is you can easily start introducing defects if you're not careful with them, which I obviously wasn't. Okay, I feel like we can get rid of this section of the image on the right, this bit, just with a further crop. So I am going to do just that. Okay, that's looking better. That window is quite distracting, so I'm going to lose that by just growing this tree a bit. And we'll take this one out this way as well. Okay, so that's gone. I don't mind the roof of the house too much. I might as well, seeing as we're in the clone stamping mindset, we'll lose a bit more of that. Okay. This one does need to go, so we'll just take some from down here and fill that in. And similarly, we might as well lose this this lamppost. Okay, looking a bit more natural. I feel like there's too much space on this side of the image versus the other side, so I'll bring that in a little further. A bit more than that. Okay, that's good. Right, so that will do in terms of the crop and the clone stamping. So obviously we've got the before and after, so just subtle changes. On this layer, we are going to tone down the brightness a bit. So I'll pull up levels, Control L, and I'll just drop that in, just a small amount. And then shadows and highlights, image adjustments, shadows and highlights. If you bump the shadows, we're going to bring up the water so you can see the stones in it. I don't mind a little bit of that. There's 8%. And with the highlights, if you tone those down, you bring in the sky and the rocks in. 4% on that one. Okay, now that bit of tree looks a little bit out of place. Could fix it by coming in closer. Could just extend the sky across. I think I'll come in closer. Okay, that looks better. Now, how do we make these purple flowers pop? So what we'll do, we'll go select color range and then select the purple and then use this fuzziness slider to decide what near that purple color you'll select. I'm going to make that so it's really just showing a faint patch where the bridge is, and that's selecting a bunch of these purple flowers. From that point, I'm going to go View, Show, Selection Edges and turn them off so I can't see them. And then Image Adjustments and then Vibrance. And I'm going to push the saturation up high. Okay, that's right to the max, 100%. And then I'm going to do that again. And that's 77%. So before and after. So we've really bumped up a small amount of the image in terms of saturation. There's a little bit more sky. Just have a quick play with brightness and contrast. So we'll create a new layer. So that's 46 up on the contrast. So I don't really like that. It's losing a bit of the definition in the water. So I'm going to delete that layer and we'll create another layer. The joy of working with layers is that you can decide you don't like a change and roll it back quite quickly. Okay, what will we do then? Let's see what happens if we pull the black point up. That's a better effect. That's sort of what I wanted the contrast to do. Quite like that, you know. I might not do anything more than that. So from where we started, the image was nice, little bit washed out on the colours. It was a really bright day. The sun was glaring straight down. It was the midday sun, and that lost a lot of the colours in the trees that you see. So we got rid of the clutter, brought that colour back, and added some definition there. It's quite a nice shot. We could bring it in really tight. I think I prefer that angle. This sort of stuff, the framing of the shot, it's really important to get that bit right. You can totally change a shot just based on how you crop it, and that really brings the focal point into the water, and it doesn't lose all the colours of the water in the trees either. So I think that's quite nice. I think I'll just leave that there. I don't think I want to do anything else to that. So that's the Packhorse Bridge. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. It's a lovely spot to photograph. There's not much else there other than the bridge, but it's worth a trip for that photo alone. If you've enjoyed the content, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one.